How do we still not have Gohan Black? The Sparking Zero Super Limit Breaking Neo DLC has finally landed, and after sinking a solid chunk of time into it, I have a few comments about it that might help you decide if it's worth picking up or not. Let's jump straight into the biggest addition, the Limit Breaker Journey Mode. This is the headline single player feature, a roguelike inspired adventure where you chart a course across a node-based map, manage your stamina, trigger random encounters, and constantly level up your character's stats and grab new battle arts for them. My initial concern had me worried that the mode would quickly lose its edge once your fighter gets too strong, but the difficulty curve is surprisingly steep. The AI is genuinely annoying to fight. It pushes you hard, but not in a way that feels cheap or makes you want to drop the controller. I'd say it's actually very addicting, and reaching further than a previous run while banking huge XP payouts from a tough fight feels incredibly rewarding. Before starting a run, you can finally dump that banked Zenny you've accumulated since launch on modifiers for both yourself and the AI. Buying perks to buff the enemy turns already difficult encounters into what I can only say feels like a raid boss. Now there's a ton of variety on the map, and choosing a path is usually a gamble. You might land on a Beerus tile where he either trains you or slaps you with a heavy debuff just for interrupting his sleep. The unpredictable encounters add a ton of personality to the grind. Fighting Krillin can suddenly escalate into an enraged Goku going Super Saiyan and jumping into the match to kill your run because he's way stronger than you, while another tile throws you into a 30-second speed battle where you have to clear out Chilai or survive a barrage of overpowered Broly attacks. You can collect the Dragon Balls within this mode, giving you 4 different wish options. Snatching a new battle art is easily the best choice here. Each run features 3 scripted mid-boss point encounters tailored specifically to the character that you're playing, followed by a fixed final boss. Every character has multiple build slots, allowing for a wildly different playstyle. I created a tank build on GT Vegeta and just started a glass cannon Super Vegeta build. When you combine the custom stat building with the massive roster expansion, it provides a ton of replayabilities, especially with being able to take these custom builds into both offline and online matches. You're giving a lot of new variety here. Looking at the experience as a whole, a few adjustments could have made it a bit better for me. Tying the new costumes and special attacks directly to milestones or challenges within this mode would have provided a much stronger incentive to grind it out. It also would have been great if the hub locations between daily activities were fully walkable, similar to the world traversal in Tenkaichi 2. Now, it wouldn't change anything necessarily. I think roaming those locations, especially when summoning Shenron, would have just added a fantastic layer of immersion. And while the final bosses cater to your character, I think making it random among the scripted bosses you have that show up as a midpoint battle would have made the climax of each run feel much less predictable. I've lost count of how many times I fought baby Vegeta by now. Now, despite those insanely small notes, the mode operates as a vastly superior modernized take on Sim Dragon. It is insanely fun and exactly what single player content needed. The new episode battles added for Krillin, Tien, Yamcha, and Cell easily step up the narrative delivery compared to the base games. While the visual style still relies on those static cutscene slide decks at times, there's a lot more in-engine scenes or motioned events that really make you feel more immersed in these stories. Cell's campaign centers on him taking down the Z-Fighters across various points in the Android Saga and Cell games, and I think the peak of his route ends with a brilliantly animated showdown against a Super Saiyan 2 Goku, a massive step up in presentation over the standard single-player campaign. My only gripe is that the story ends right after the Cell games. It left me wanting to see more what further chaos he could have unleashed, maybe an unexpected clash with Super Broly on Vampa. Now, Krillin's campaign is really difficult. I'm not sure if this is a bug or if it's meant to be this way, but the AI in this one specifically was super annoying to fight. His story dives into some inventive paths, and to my surprise includes an adaptation of the Dragon Ball Super training arc where he and Goku face illusions of past enemies that translates into his alternate timeline. Yamcha's episodes feel like total fever dreams where he simply locks in when the stakes are at their highest, though his sparking episode lacks the wild story that are given to the others. It feels like a missed opportunity not to adapt that one cut what if from Tenkaichi 2. It would have given his story something that's worth remembering. Tien's campaign stands out as the best of the batch. There's way more content to play through here, and his sparking episode is actually very well done. While I'll talk about all of those in a future video, Cell and Tien easily walk away with the strongest sparking episodes in this pack. Yamcha's route feels surprisingly safe by comparison, lacking the wild creative pivots that make these what if timelines so fun. Throwing in a Tiencha fusion could have given Yamcha's story the exact spark it needed to elevate it on an otherwise standard path. I can't see myself coming back to replay any of these outside of maybe the Super Saiyan 2 Goku fight in Cells. I would have rather that the stories have been given to the new DLC characters. They could have built new stories for characters with minimal screen time like Lord Chilled, a Super Saiyan What If Bardock episode, even a comedic Jocko story would have been cool. Maybe what if he actually was a top Galactic Patrol member? Maps were a major point of criticism in the base game, so these new arenas are naturally going to be under a microscope. The DLC brings in 4 new locations: Kami's Lookout, Kame House, Bitter Tundra, and Stratosphere. Each stage includes a variant, with the planet Vegeta map standing out as my personal favorite. though fighting on it without a flying character gets pretty tedious. The Lookout handles ground combat much better simply because it provides a wider stable platform to stand on even when it's destroyed. The Bitter Tundra map can get a little funky with the camera angle if you get trapped underneath the ice layer. Thankfully it's not a common occurrence and escaping those spots is easy enough when it does happen. I think my biggest disappointment here is the total lack of stage destruction. The trailers definitely created the impression that we were going to get a destroyed Earth variant from the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie, and it feels like a strange omission that these stages can't even be blown up. At the very least, they could have linked it to the Free Volcano map. Map variety was something this game desperately needed, and these are solid additions that are all aesthetically pleasing to look at and have less obstructions than the Demon Realm map that we got last season. I think that quite possibly is the ugliest map in this game. I do hope they continue to drop more free maps in the future. I'm not too thrilled with the idea of locking every single new map to paid content. The main attraction to the players are the new 33 characters that come with this DLC. A major complaint when the base game released was the severe lack of original Dragon Ball representation, but this DLC really fixes that problem. It's great to see Devilman's unique mechanics make a return, and General Blue is surprisingly fun to play. A running strength of the classic Tenkaichi games have always been making the quirky non-traditional characters just as viable and enjoyable as the main cast. Jocko easily stands out as the highlight from this wave, though Chilai was an equally pleasant surprise, especially with that delayed gun beam she has. It's very satisfying to pull off. I think it's awesome that we finally get Ma Jr. and Teen Goku, especially that they included his meteor combination with him. Although I wish Ma Jr. had a little bit more flair to his super and ultimates. Chi-Chi's another cool addition, but it's a huge missed opportunity to not give her a Bancho fan burst since she doesn't have Ki Blast. And with so many ground-based fighters in this pack, the lack of mobility on stages becomes obvious fast. Bringing back the flight capsules from previous Tenkaichi games would go a long way in fixing that awkwardness when taking non-flight characters into maps like the Stratosphere or Planet Vegeta. Although there is that chunk you can stand on, the matches never stay there and you end up slowly descending. Getting Bardock's crew into the roster is a great fan service pool, but Tora feels like a huge disappointment. His super barely hits, and along with his ultimate, they just feel uninspired. I feel like his ultimate could have been designed as a team-up attack to incorporate Shugesh and Borgos, the two crew members who didn't make it into the game. Super Saiyan Bardock, on the other hand, is easily one of the absolute best additions in this pack. His transformation sequence, his supers, his ultimate are animated so well, they all somehow exceeded every expectation I had for them. King Vegeta is much more of a mixed bag for me. I really wanted a Z era skin, and his match interactions leave a lot to be desired. It also doesn't help that his voice delivery sounds like he's trying to talk with a mouthful of Jolly Ranchers. Chilled looks every bit as impressive as Super Saiyan Bardock, and his voice performance gives him a ton of personality that I think the character needed. Now I may be biased because Champa is my favorite God of Destruction, but his overall moveset feels more engaging to play than Beerus, with the exception of his God of Destruction menace technique. It didn't land in Xenoverse and it still feels clunky here. Pikkon is a solid roster choice, and seeing movie minion underlings make the cut raises an interesting possibility that the rest of the obscure henchmen could easily find their way into a future DLC. Nice from Cooler's Armored Squadron comes to mind immediately actually. I remember spending a lot of time playing with him in Raging Blast 2. I don't really have much to say about Oob other than I would like to have seen maybe a pink hue to his aura to kind of call back to Majin Buu. That's about it. He's kind of like a whatever character for me. The GT additions turned out to be a pleasant surprise. GT Trunks has some amazing ultimates. I am a bit bummed that Ice Shenron wasn't included with his brother, but I'm sure he'll find a way into the game through a later DLC. Actually, with how much OGDB was given here, I'd be shocked if they didn't give more GT characters in the next DLC pack. Hellfighter 17 actually outshines the Z version of 17 for me by miles, but Super 17 lands with a bit of a thud. He just lacks the extra flair and impact you'd expect from a main GT villain. They also should have kept the machine gun arm incorporated somewhere with him. GT Vegeta, on the other hand, might be the best character in this entire DLC pack. The Super Saiyan variant is an absolute blast to play and has some of the most satisfying attack animations. They even shocked everyone by giving him an amazing transformation into Super Saiyan 4. Now, I was in the boat with everyone thinking they wouldn't include a transformation with him at all, and I am so glad to be wrong. Now, while the roster expansion hits a lot of high notes, like I said, there's still a few inclusions that definitely deserved a bit more polish. Future DLC packs will almost certainly give us more movie minions, but I really hope characters like GT Goten, Hachiyak, and Bio Broly appear. Look man, I can't be the only one that wants Bio Broly. You don't even have to make him a new character. I take a costume for Z Broly. Now personally, I would have liked to see a bit more outfits for all of the DLC characters. I remember seeing a render floating around that clearly showed Grandpa Gohan without his face mask, yet there isn't actually an option to remove it in the game. And speaking on costumes, the DLC adds 23 brand new costumes, and that's not counting the duplicate version that lets you keep the outfit on while retaining the character's original ultimate attacks. But not all of those new costumes have a new ultimate. Like Trunks definitely got the short end of the stick here. Equipping his new outfit completely locks him out of transforming into Super Trunks, and he still didn't get the iconic finishing move he used to vaporize the androids. I'm still upset that Broly was skipped over for his Second Coming look. Literally every other character involved in that film received their Second Coming outfit except for him. Bandai, please, what do you need me to do for that outfit? On the flip side, plenty of long requested fan choices finally made it in, including Teen Gohan and Goku's Turtle School outfit, and the End of Z Goku outfit. The ultimate attacks tied to these outfits are really well done, but there are a few that are just whatever to me. Like the Kai outfit Gohan's sword attack and End of Z Goku's ult are both pretty mid. There's something about them, just remind me more of a super attack, like they don't really feel as if they're for ultimates. Now, when weighing the overall value, the $35 price tag for a massive expansion like Neo is bound to spark some debate. And my take on that is that compared to the old school era where fighting games force you to buy a whole new full price disc just to access an updated roster and a few balance tweaks, this model is an upgrade. This game is taking the same route that modern fighting games take. Long-term post-launch support and funding that continues development through major expansion drops help keep the game alive. This is true for even massive titles like Street Fighter. I think it's a healthy ecosystem and it's infinitely better than being dragged to a battle pass. Now, if you're primarily an offline player, I'd say this pack is worth picking up. You're essentially getting an entire second season's worth of content in one drop, and between the sheer replayability of Limit Breaker Journey and the batch of new characters you can take into custom battles, there's plenty to sink your teeth into. I'm still disappointed that the developers completely glossed over adding new 3D cutscene assets and left the custom battle text selector as a total chore to navigate, but the community is already producing incredible scenarios regardless. That creator scene is going to thrive for a very long time. On the other hand, if you're a competitive maniac who only lives for online PvP and the next dose of ranked adrenaline, the roster additions bring plenty of new matchups to lab, but if none of those specific fighters stand out to you, waiting for a sale is the reasonable move here. Then again, let's be real, you were just going to keep playing Whis anyway. Anyways, that's all I have for you guys. I would love to hear what you guys have to say about all this. I put up a question earlier and it seems like most of you guys actually really enjoyed this DLC. I wouldn't go as far as saying this is a perfect DLC. If I'd had to rate it out of 10, it'd definitely be a strong 7 or an 8. Given that this is a modern Bandai title, that is a very good rating. They already announced that there's going to be more news for this game come October, so there's obviously going to be plans for the future, which I don't think anyone is surprised by that. This game sold a lot of copies. I'm pretty sure the DLC sold very well. It's going to be supported for a very long time. If you guys just made some new custom battles with these new characters, send them over to my email, send them to my Steam account, send them to my PlayStation. I'll take a look at them pretty soon. I already started playing some new ones. It was like the first day you guys already started cooking. Anyways, I've been your local overanalyzer, Artellings, and I hope you have yourself a damn good one.